International Trade Focus is brought to you by Ghana Free Zones Authority and supported by GOIL and Agricultural Development Bank.
Necessity, they say, is the mother of invention. Now, in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, countries such as Ghana that used to depend heavily on imports have had to shift from the overdependence of imports to local manufacturing in order to meet the demand of items that are necessary during this period. Now, the fact that local manufacturing is encouraged during this period does not mean that we can go ahead and produce anything and sell on the market. Now, the Ghana Standards Authority is a government agency responsible to ensure that all items either produced locally or imported meet required standards. On today's edition of International Trade Focus, we want to find out whether local manufacturers are guided by government agencies such as Ghana Standards Authority that are responsible to ensure that items produced locally or exported meet required standards. Before we proceed, we'd like to say special thanks to the sponsors of this program. International Trade Focus is brought to you by Ghana Free Zones Authority. They say sharing good fortunes, and supported by GOIL, Good Energy, ADB, Truly, Agric, and more. International Trade Focus is also supported by Pejase Valley Resort. My name is Anaspio. Stay tuned.
Your business concepts and investment must be harnessed through a hassle-free and highly thoughtful process to make them globally competitive. That is precisely the mission of the Ghana Free Zones Authority. Ghana Free Zones Authority packages Ghana's enabling business and investment environment with endless benefits. Total exemption from major taxes and levies for first 10 years. Talk to us now about our business oasis created all over the country. Acres of industrial enclaves for all sectors. Our beneficiaries are in vibrant business, exporting finished and processed factory inputs all over the world. And what do our clients call us?
Partner.
Ghana Free Zones Authority, sharing good fortunes.
Breathtaking picturesque views, the essence of tranquility recrafted. What's your desire? A romantic expedition, syndicate sessions, banquet and conferences, or a discreet weekend getaway? Just name it. It's exclusively packaged for you at Pejase Valley Resort. Every spacious rooms, ultra-modern gym facilities, games, indoors, terrace and lawn restaurants and lounges, cozy private dining, and all the swimmer's paradise. Aquaba, any day, all year round to Pejase Valley Resort. The acts of serenity, skillfully served.
Here's innovation from GOIL that takes you further. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes have been expertly crafted with the latest in liquid engineering technology, highly advanced for modern engines, prolongs oil change intervals, save you fuel, clean, protect and enhance engine performance. The way engines work has become complex, and GOIL has innovated to stay ahead with expertly crafted lubricants that work excellently with all petrol and diesel engines of today. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes. Innovation that takes you further. GOIL. Good energy.
Are you an importer or exporter? Do you need quick financing at the best rate on the market? ADB has good news for you. Walk into any agricultural development bank location nationwide for that solution to all your trade financing needs. ADB offers you pre-financing of exports and imports, post-shipment credit facilities, bank guarantees, the issuance and acceptance of letters of credit, documentary bills for collection, outward documentary collection. Enjoy free advisory services from our well-trained, dedicated trade officers. Exporters of agricultural products are encouraged to take advantage of this great service. For further enquiries, call us on 0302 210 210. ADB, making trade finance easy. ADB, Truly Agric and more.
A warm welcome back. You're still watching International Trade Focus. Our focal point segment comes up next. Since the outbreak of COVID-19, several nations, including developed countries, have had to rely on the benevolence of other countries for basic accessories like personal protective equipment, PPEs. A lot of countries soon found out, with much disappointment, that the accessories they desperately needed were not forthcoming. It became clear that the over-dependency on China's production capacity had made countries complacent in the globalized world. The president of Ghana reiterated this when he met with leaders in the banking and pharmaceutical industry in March.
It takes bad situations or crises to reveal the obvious truth. Our country, our economy, our society is too dependent on foreign-made things across the board. We're not just talking pharmaceuticals, we're talking industry. Across the board of our national life, we are far too dependent on things that are made from abroad and are imported by us for use. We should be making most of the things that we use in Ghana ourselves. And I'm seeing what is happening to us in this crisis as an opportunity. It has very big consequences, but it is also an opportunity. They say necessity is the mother of invention, and advisedly so. As we are now, in all of the areas which we need to mobilize to confront this pandemic, especially, we all pray that the measures that are being put in place will prevent that. But were there to be a surge, we have not got there yet, but were there to be a surge in the incidence of this pandemic in Ghana, we would all unfortunately discover that we are very naked to deal with it. So I called you here for all of us to put our brains and minds and hearts together to see a way forward for the future of our country.
The silver lining here is that individual nations have had to come up with innovative ways to produce the basic equipment to slow down the spread of the novel coronavirus pandemic. Over time, Ghana had moved from the dependence on imports of pharmaceutical products like hand sanitizers to local production within a span of 2 weeks. Local manufacturing of nose masks also picked up due to the demand the government's directive created. President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in his latest COVID-19 update, disclosed that local production of nose masks was now over 900,000. But how do we ensure that these products meet minimum required standards? Is it the case that the general public, thinking they are fully protected, continue to risk their lives going about their business? International trade figures visited some local producers to inquire if production meets the needed standards. The World Health Organization recommends N95 nose masks for use by health workers. In the absence of the N95, the head of Medical Devices Department of the Food and Drugs Authority, Mr. Joseph Benny, said locally produced nose masks must have at least 3 layers of fabric.
We are seeing that from our studies, nose masks that are made of a single layered material is of no value protecting anybody. The viruses, the bacteria, dust particles, etc. can pass through. Some bigger particles may not be able to, but we are talking of microorganisms that are very small, so they can pass through. The 2-layered ones are the same. They are also unable to offer us the protection we are looking at. But from the studies that we did, whereas if you have a 3-layered nose mask, it's as good as the ones that have been produced from the polystyrene that we know of already. So a 3-layered homemade nose mask is the one to start with, 3 layers.
The FDA added that printed fabrics were not ideal for nose masks since they might contain chemical irritants.
And the 3-layered nose mask, please look for one that is made of materials that have no chemicals. In the event the person is using printed material, it should be only the outermost. The one that is closest to the skin and the one that is in between should all be one that have no chemicals in them. And again, we are urging those that we've registered to put the FDA registration number, their contact number, and their company address, so you can trace it and be sure that this one is registered by FDA. And so we are making it sure that people who want to buy FDA approved nose masks can get them. So those that have been registered, we are urging them to do that. Currently, they may not have done that. So it poses a bit of a challenge. We consider that. But to help us all out, we are saying that look for a 3-layered nose mask. And the 3-layered nose masks, make sure that the ones you are buying are not made of printed material. Except in any ordinary, in the extreme case, it should be the outermost.
But how are these standards being implemented among local nose mask producers? To understand Ghana's local production of nose masks, international traffickers reached out to the Chief Executive Officer of House of Damaris, Mrs. Josephine Nana Baden Ejakon.
When the situation arose, we found it necessary to help. We are like engineers. We solve a problem. So quickly, we got into the production of nose masks even before the authorities, FDA and co, came with their specifications. So when we started, we were using any fabric to sew. And there was a WhatsApp message circulating about how Czech Republic was able to curtail the spread of coronavirus by producing face masks. So we went ahead and we were producing until the regulations came in, and immediately we adjusted. So now we are producing according to the specifications of FDA and the National Standards Authority, using 3 layers of material, because that is what the authorities say. We are using plain poplin and the prescribed fabric that is being produced by GTP.
Checks on Cook's Couture revealed the 3-layer standards were being met. Interestingly, most of the raw materials for nose mask production were being sourced locally.
We get the cotton fabric and the cotton lining, the stiff, that serves as a filter, yes, the bias, the elastic.
We buy the fabrics here in Ghana. We get the cotton fabrics, the cotton lining, then we have workers who also sew. We get elastics, we get cotton bias for the production of nose masks. Then ours comes with packaging. You see, we've neatly packaged it with a sticker on it, so anyone who buys and wants to buy again wouldn't have any difficulty in contacting us. With the fabric we use, since it's cotton, you can easily breathe through it. And we don't use any other fabric than cotton fabric, so it makes it comfortable for the user to breathe and use it for a long time. We don't want you to buy and be hanging it around your neck all the time. You should be able to use it. That is the reason why you bought it. So we make sure we comply with the standards so you'll be able to use it.
However, that does not take away the fact that there will still be some individuals producing nose masks that do not meet the national standards. It will largely depend on the discretion of the consumer, even though the necessary authorities are continuing with their sensitization. But most importantly, the cost of personal protective equipment will be a huge factor in determining whether people will purchase substandard PPEs or not.